everyone. Thank you so much for joining our workshop today. We're just going to give other attendees a few more minutes to join. So we'll start in a couple minutes. If you need to grab a coffee or anything, you've got a little bit of time. We'll start soon. Thanks. Hey everyone who's joining. We're going to start in a few minutes, so you've got time to grab a quick coffee. We're just waiting for a few more people to join and then we'll get going. Thanks. All right, let's get started. So thank you everyone for joining. So this is gonna be our workshop on managing your team and your clients with roles and permissions. So there's lots of stuff we're gonna go over here, and then we're gonna also go over a few of the newer additions to this. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jean Anstedt. I'm the team lead for the growth account management team here at Wix. And then I'm going to introduce Anthony Walker, who's head of training here at Wix, and he's going to be taking us through this workshop. So a few housekeeping things, please use our chat. Feel free to ask questions in there and we'll do our best to answer those throughout the workshop or at the end. And this webinar will be recorded. So if if your internet gets interrupted or you've got to run and grab a coffee, don't worry, you'll have all the content available after the workshop's over. So I just want to go over what we're going to cover today. So we're going to talk about setting up your own team on Wix and how to assign multiple roles to your teammates and how all that works. And then we'll go down to the client level and talk about best practices for managing your client projects. Great. So I'm going to hand it over to Anthony now. Thanks.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Walker. Today we're going to be diving into some team-specific roles and permissions, as well as some ones that are going to be on the site level. So at first, I'm going to walk you through just a couple easy team level roles that you can add, to your team. So if you're an agency, just starting out, wanting to add like different members that have like specific functions, I'm going to show you how to do that with some of the pre-made roles that we have, as well as building out some more, custom functions. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do on a team level is from your, main partner dashboard here. I'm just going to kind of walk you through how to go and kind of set up custom roles or assign ones that we already have built out. So just click on your partner dashboard. From here, you can go right over to settings. And then you'll just land right into team management. Here you can kind of like just sort through all of the roles that you have. Maybe you have some that are going to be pending, maybe some that are expired. Over in all roles, you can, as you build more, start to see and also filter by those as well and sort them out. And if your team becomes really extensive, then you can just come right here and just search by name or also the email address. All right, and I'm going to walk you through how to set all of that up. All right, before we dive right in, I want to kind of just walk you through how to actually go in and apply a new role to a new teammate. So once you click on new role here, you just put the person's email address in, whichever that team member's email is. If they're already a current, Wix user, you can just add like plus team, and then that kind of takes care of the issue that you might have with seeing that the email already exists. Or you can have them, kind of replace the email on their account to free up that email that it could be used on a team level. All right, so first off, before we dive into this, I want to just kind of walk you through the different types of roles you can have as a team. So you could be an account co-owner. That's someone who's going to be able to kind of like manage and edit all the sites in the account. The main difference is between giving someone access as a contributor and someone who's going to be an actual team member. It allows them access to all the sites. So there's no need to have to send the same person on your team, another invite individually with like a different function. You can really carve out that role and customize it depending on what you need. And there's, tons that are already kind of pre-made. But if you need something more unique, you can just click on create a new role. And for now, I'm just going to kind of show you, two really popular roles I think that would be used widely today. And the first one's going to be like a chat agent. Maybe you want someone who's going to kind of just manage the chat, for different clients that you have. And maybe those functions will be something like chat or customer management. Just click on whatever the permission is, and you can just say, okay, I want this person to be able to maybe message via the inbox, and also kind of manage using the chat settings as well. So there's tons of different options here. You just kind of go through, select what you want, and then maybe the next function will be also maybe adding some type of like stores functionality where they'll be able to manage the store as well, where they can view and manage all of the store products. Once you're done doing that, you just click on save, and now that role is pretty much set up. And you can also view those permissions and just see exactly what you just created. So I just made a user on my team, or a member of my team, who can now message via inbox and chat, also manage all of my contacts, and I could at any point in time just kind of edit that role and make it different, maybe give them more functionalities. And if I do that, I can just change the name of the role as well. So it really just makes for a really cool way to just make roles really custom. Let's say someone on your team is managing the social media aspects of things. We'll create a new role for that. So this time we'll call this person maybe like a social manager. This is going to be just as simple as before. We just kind of type the name in here. Okay. And now we're just going to give some functions. So maybe the first one will be members. And now for this function, we'll let them manage site members. Maybe the second function will be for a blog. And for this one, we'll let them maybe publish post or even just moderate the blog as well. And maybe you have a forum. And we'll let them also kind of view post and maybe even write post. And once you're done setting that up, you just save it. And just like that, now you can see for our team member, we have two different roles here. One is the chat agent and one is social manager. So it's very simple to kind of go in and just take a role, and from that point on, kind of make amendments to it and keep it pretty nice, for the users on your team. One thing that's also very useful as well is, if you do set up a role that's going to be used over and over, you can easily like just duplicate the role, making it easy for you to just kind of set that same level of permission to another person instead of going through again, inviting somebody else and then kind of managing it all from scratch. I can just click on, here, duplicate and edit, make a copy of that same exact role, and then again, maybe add on some additional functionalities or take some permission away, depending on what I'm looking to accomplish.
Just quickly, Anthony, we have a question. Do these team roles apply to all sites or individual sites?
Yeah, this is for actually all the sites in the account. So right now it's not specific, to any like setup sites. Later in the future, that will be something that'll be a possibility. But for now, it's going to just give that team member access to all the sites, but within the restrictions that you set. All right. And let's say if you have someone who, again, just needs to have different types of permissions, then making it easy, and making a custom role is something that's very easy. One thing I feel that would probably be really useful for me if I were still an agency today would have been some really cool things like the billing manager, which allows you to kind of like make purchases, manage subscriptions and payment methods. And also down below on a payments level, you can also kind of like view and manage like the actual customers' payments as well. So I think that that's also pretty useful. Those features are not going to be available like on site level, but in the future, that is something that will also be available. But I think these are like probably the top two picks I would have if I were still running an agency today. Right, so it's very easy to kind of go right into your partner dashboard, set that up, and again, as your team grows, just coming back and being able to search, and modify permissions for whatever reason is a really good use of how to make sure you can manage your team the most effective way.
Anthony, could you just go back and show us where in the partner dashboard you can access team management?
Definitely. So yeah, so when you go to your partner dashboard, the first thing that you'll do, and I'll take it from the beginning here, you just want to go over into partner dashboard, down to settings, and the first option on the left-hand side is where you'll see team management. And from here, again, depending on how big your team is, you'll see a list, maybe you'll see a few. And then from here, you can just decide to go into more actions and, kind of manage all of the roles that you have. And you just see me create two, and I have currently the chat agent and the social manager. And again, tons of ones that are kind of already set up with permissions. You can always view it and just kind of see if those are the permissions that you want. And if they aren't, you can always just modify it, and make a custom role.
All right, so we have a question here on videos. Can you demonstrate how this function will be rolled out to people to add or manage videos using Wix Video? Do you have to give them full access to like your master account?
So you don't have to give them full access to a master account. That would be one of the permissions that you would actually set up when it comes to like verticals. So if you go over into manage roles, and I decide to like, let's say create a custom role, I have the ability to kind of just go at the very bottom here, and in the app market, I can control like which apps they can manage. Right now, it's not specific to the exact app, but again, later on, I could see that being a possible thing that's probably rolled out. But for now, you could decide if someone is able to manage apps or install apps. And if they are able to manage apps, then Wix Video would be one of the ones they could manage today.
And then is the current limit still 4 teams or users like per team?
The function to manage apps and install apps?
No, like to add, can you add up to 4 team members? Can you add any more than that, or is it still 4?
I'm not sure. We actually have, I believe, the PM available. Like, that might be a question that he can answer. That may be something that you can maybe shed some more insights
on. Let's see. Actually, he says, no, you still need to contact your account manager. So feel free to shoot an email to your account manager and we can sort you out.
Awesome. Cool. Great. Any more questions on the team management side?
No, I think we are good there.
All right,
but continue to add your questions to the chat. And if there's any more that come up about team management, we'll answer them at the end.
Perfect. All right, cool. So I want to kind of move over now to the site level. So we just kind of went over, if you're just joining, kind of like how to manage things from like a team level, meaning you are an agency owner and you have multiple people who are kind of doing different functions in your team. Now I'm going to speak more on a site level. So this could be a handoff that's going to a client who's just going to be managing a certain aspect of their own business. This could be maybe a contractor who's just maybe like making changes to code or just doing like a one-time thing, and they're not a person that you really want to have to, see kind of like the number of sites that you have in your back end, things like that. So the way that we do things on a site level is from the site itself. You just want to kind of go on your dashboard here, and then we're going to go down to settings. And just like before, we're going to go into roles and permissions, but this time it's going to be specific to this site. It's not going to be for the whole entire account. So now it's not going to be team level. It's more like specific to the site. And now from here, I can just decide if I wanted to manage roles, just like before. And I can kind of set up, different functions. So even let's say for a client, if I wanted them to just have to manage their chat because I don't want them to worry about, things like the actual design of the site, I can actually give the same role that I've already created, and then give that person access and then invite them, to a site, which I feel is very useful. And again, this time it's going to be, very site specific and not on a team level, because a client really shouldn't have to see, the number of sites that you have or who's on your team and things like that. So I think it's really useful to kind of see it more on the site level, so you can just really get the most out of, managing things from this point. And again, you also have, general roles here. These are going to be a little bit different. So I can be the person can be an admin who can just have full access to the site but can't edit. They can be unlimited admin, a website manager, like your typical roles and permissions, but this time I'm going to be more specific, to the actual site. One thing that I've seen that's very popular is like somebody who's just like, writing blogs. That could be a client as well, like somebody who you maybe built a site for, and they have like tons of blogs that they write. They don't need to really access the site to do that. They can do it right from, their dashboard or also on their mobile app as well. And again, things like, billing managers, those will be rolled out later on, but right now it's more specific to more of a team management side. Any questions on the site level?
Don't have any so far. Would you be able to just take us one step back and just show us how to access it once more? It's always helpful.
Definitely. Yep. So let's say I'm in my, dashboard here and I have tons of my sites here. This is going to be different from your team level. So you can just click on any site here. We'll just say this one. All right. And from this side, we'll go over into settings, and then we'll go into roles and permissions. And this is giving us that same screen, but now it's just going to be specific to the site and not the entire account. The main difference here is that a team member has access to every single site within those permissions that you set, as where somebody who has access on the site level has permissions, but only specific to the site that you want to give them access to. And just like before, we can click on manage roles, we can add a new one, or we can just select one of the ones here that we think might be good, like one of the general roles, view it, make sure that those permissions are good. And if they are, you can then invite people in, with those set of restrictions. But just notice how we still have the same custom roles that we built over on the team side, just in case a client wanted to have that same level of access. You could be an agency who's offering, let's say, social media management or social marketing, and then at the same time, kind of have a client who wants to take over that. So it depends on, again, who your audience is going to be and what that handoff includes. But as you can see here, just putting in the email and sending over the invite takes care of that. And you can always just click on view role permissions to see exactly what they would be able to do. Right? So it's a very simple experience, and even here still, you can still create a new role, name it whatever you want and go through each option here. Just some of the ones that exist are going to be like editor functionality, allowing someone to edit, publish, stores. Very important that somebody knows how to manage, aspects of their store. I can't tell you how many clients in the past that I've had, start off, maybe just editing a store product, and then they got very excited and maybe went inside their site and maybe made some mistakes. And I think it's important to give people access that they need, because a lot of times, as designers, we like to preserve the work that we do and make sure it doesn't get ruined. So just giving someone the access they need, just make sure that our work stays the way that we left it when we handed the work off. So I think these are really important things to mention. But I mean, as far as permissions, we have tons of things to kind of go into and build the role in a custom way.
Great. All right, so we have a few questions. Let's see. First one, all right. So as a dev, can you be a part of multiple agency teams?
So as of right now, it's going to be email specific. So, I mean, technically you could be, but the emails would have to be different. So in that case, you could either take an email address that you currently have, if they're all different, and just kind of put like plus team behind it. It knows how to differentiate the differences there. If you're working with multiple agencies, then I recommend maybe having an email specific with each of them, to make sure that you're having access to those sites, per agency. But right now it is limited for the actual email being used. So you couldn't take one email and use it with 10 agencies, but you could have different, different emails that you're using with different teams accounts for sure.
Great. So question about, so are custom role edits made at the site level? Are they mirrored on the team level and vice versa?
That's a really good question. I think I've just seen, the team management roles kind of mirror over to the site level side. I'm not sure if it works, in reverse. I would imagine so, but again, I think the PM on the call that we have now can, just confirm that and lock that in. But I think
I think it's all roles are saved at the account level.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome.
We have another question about business phone numbers. So will business phone number be a role in permissionability later down the road?
It's a really good question. I don't personally have that answer. Again, maybe the PM does on the call.
It sounds like it might be a bit of an ability down the road, but it's not scheduled yet.
Cool.
All right, next one. Apologies, my my toddler is crying in the background if anyone can hear. I added team member sites to their own folder. Can we assign work via the folder?
Okay, so right now that's not a possibility today, but that is something that's currently being worked on and would be rolled out in the future. But that's something that we're aware that many partners need, and that's one of the things that I know I would wish I would have if I was still in the agency today. So that is coming in the near
future. Soon, yeah. All right, so this is more of a subjective one, but in your experience managing an agency, what management level is best to give the client who they want to make some updates themselves? So like what would you suggest on the types of permissions to give them?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the ones that we have here, I would usually give them like maybe something like, I would say like a limited admin, where they can definitely make edits, but it requires the person who's the admin or the owner to kind of go in and make publishes. And I think that's important because a lot of times, again, I couldn't tell you how many sites I built, but if I had to kind of put together a portfolio today, it would probably be, probably a third of those sites because sites get ruined, So just to kind of just save the valuable work that you do, I recommend just giving somebody like a limited admin role where of course they can make the changes, give them that sense of control, but when it really comes to publishing it, just make sure that you're the one who can go in there, check it, make sure it works, and then hit publish last. So I would really recommend the limited admin role. And if you could, just give them like back office managing where they can just access like the dashboard to manage all of the site settings and the other apps. I think that would be another important thing.
Great, so a couple more questions. Let's see. Okay, so here's an example. I have a team of 3 devs that need to have access to all of my agency's accounts. So do I give them access to all of the sites? So I need to give them access to all the sites. I cannot add my team to another site, i.e. team info at has 3 devs under it. Can that be assigned to a team account? So all my devs can work on that agency team, or do they need like hundreds of logins?
You could just have one email that you use. So if your agency is like, let's say, Blue Web Design, I mean, you could just make a dev at Blue Web Design and give all the devs that same access. They should be able to work on the sites within that account amongst the 3 of them. That's one workaround. The second workaround is just giving them or taking their personal emails, because again, you might not need to pay for like their email addresses, but if they have their own emails, you can just add like plus team whenever you send out the invites once you create the role, and that allows them to have access to the same sites as well. So once you make them as a team member, they can access all of the sites within the account, with the access to, of course, use the developer tools.
Mm-hmm. And I think you can add your team as a contributor to any other sites as well. So also sites under other accounts. Great. So let's see. Do we have any more questions? So I don't think we have any other questions. Do you have any other like FAQs for us, Anthony? Things that like pitfalls to avoid? Any things that you've seen have tripped people up in the past, or any other best practices?
I just think that whenever you make roles, try to make a role that's going to be just unique, because it really just helps you understand, what your process is going to be like and who handles what. I think some of the biggest issues I've gotten to in the past is just maybe giving either clients too much access or the people that I've worked with too much access. So I think this role is, this feature rather is a really good, game changer. It allows you to really just build out, a process, where people really can't cross boundaries, because you can really just define what everybody can do. And I think that's, the power of, being able to control, the roles and permissions, whether it be on the site level side or the actual, incomplete, agency. So my, last advice would just be very specific with what you allow people to do and take advantage of these great tools that you see.
Great. Actually, one thing that I know has come up before that the new like team member aspect has allowed you to do is like, it's a, now you don't have to like share emails and passwords for everyone to have access to your account. But one of the great things, if you can go into this a little bit more, is about if you can assign specific roles, then you can disable those logins, say if someone leaves your company or your agency. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So yeah, if I create this role and I have like, let's say a dedicated person who's just doing like social media management for all of my clients, like before, the process would be that I'm giving them access one by one as contributors. And I'm either having to spend a lot of time removing their access one by one, or I have to literally like try to change my password in time, things like that. So I think this is not only just a more secure option, but it makes more sense and it's way more effective. So again, a person today could be having one role and my team across, hundreds of sites, and there's no need to really have to worry about, eliminating that access one by one. I just simply remove their access, from my team. And just like that, I mean, I can just go and manage them right from this list right here, and then remove them out all at once. So it really just makes it more secure. I'm able to control the access a lot more, and just really just speeds the process up, So that's the way that I would kind of recommend, managing a team is definitely the team management feature. For sure. Anybody who works on more than one site and there's somebody who you really think is going to work with you on an ongoing basis, just make them, a team member. And if it ever changes, you can just kind of go in and modify everything, because you're the only person as the owner that would be able to see the roles and manage all of the roles.
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony. It doesn't look like we have any other questions at this time. If you guys had any other questions just about accessing team management and where to go from the partner dashboard, this is all being recorded. So you'll all have access to the recording later on, so you can go back and reference this whenever you need to. We went over accessing team management and rules and permissions a couple times each. So you should be able to find that in the video later on. Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Anthony, for taking us through
Got it.
this. We really appreciate it. And thanks to all our amazing agencies for joining us today.